Everyone talks about Accra. Accra this, Accra that, the business hub, the nightlife, the development, the future. But what about the cities Ghana forgot? Today, we're challenging the national narrative and taking you into the heart of a city that was once the pride of an entire nation. A city that shaped Ghana's political, educational, and spiritual identity. Cape Coast, a former capital, a global landmark, a place where African history and world history collide. Yet today, many Ghanaians barely mention it. This isn't just a history lesson. This is a warning, a story of lost prestige, political shifts, and silent decline, and a reminder of what happens when a nation moves forward without carrying its roots along. Before Accra, before Kumasi took center stage politically, Cape Coast was Ghana's powerhouse. It was the capital of the British Gold Coast from 1877 onward. It was a major port city, a gateway between West Africa and the world. It produced some of the most educated Africans of the 19th and 20th centuries. It birthed elite schools like Mafansipim, Wesley Girls, St. Augustine's, shaping leaders across Africa. Cape Coast wasn't just a city, it was an intellectual engine, a political brain, and a cultural meeting point. Visitors described it as the Oxford of West Africa because of its scholarship and influence. Imagine a city where governors, merchants, missionaries, diplomats, and African elites all walked the same streets, where ideas were traded like gold, where the future of Ghana was debated in living rooms, church halls, and mission classrooms. Cape Coast was alive, vibrant, influential, respected, but the tides, quite literally, began to shift. Cape Coast's decline didn't happen by accident. It happened through a series of decisions, political, economic, and structural. The first major blow: 1. The capital moved to Accra. When the colonial government shifted the capital away from Cape Coast, everything changed. Government jobs? Gone. Infrastructure investment? Cut. Administrative influence? Lost overnight. Accra began to rise, not because it was more historic, but because it was strategically easier for the British to manage and protect. Cape Coast, once the pride of the coast, suddenly became a side note, and as the capital moved, so did the people, the money, and eventually, the attention. Cape Coast's economy had always depended heavily on trade, education, missionary institutions, administrative structures. With two of those taken away, the city began to shrink. Accra became the center of commerce. Takoradi became the deep-sea port. Kumasi became the cultural and commercial giant inland. Cape Coast was left with history, beautiful, powerful history, but not enough economic muscle. Young people began leaving, businesses relocated, infrastructure updates slowed, and the once thriving coastal city became a place people visited, not a place they invested in. Here's where the story becomes ironic, even painful. Cape Coast houses one of the most globally recognized landmarks in Africa, Cape Coast Castle, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a site where presidents, celebrities, and millions of tourists visit every year, a place central to the story of the transatlantic slave trade. Millions come to Cape Coast, yet the city itself remains underdeveloped. How does a city with one of the largest tourist attractions in West Africa still struggle with poor roads, unemployment-limited infrastructure, slow investment growth? It's a question that forces us to look deeper, not just at the city's past, but at Ghana's development priorities. Cape Coast has transitioned from a capital to a port city, to an educational hub, and now a tourist town. But tourism alone cannot sustain an entire city. Tourism brings seasonal income, low-wage jobs, crowds but not necessarily investors, quick money but not deep development. Meanwhile, major businesses relocate to Accra, 𝙒𝙗𝙗, Takoradi, and Kumasi, all cities better positioned for modern economic growth. Cape Coast's identity became stuck between history and hesitation. If we boil it all down, Cape Coast's fall from prominence came from 1. Political power shift. Once the capital moved, everything shifted with it. 2. Economic rerouting. Ports, businesses, banks, and factories went elsewhere. 3. Lack of long-term planning. A city relying on history without future-proof infrastructure was always at risk. Cape Coast's story is a cautionary tale. Cities rise, cities fall, cities get forgotten, not because they are unimportant, but because their role changes while their development does not. So the real question is, what will Ghana do with Cape Coast's legacy? Will it remain a historic museum city? Or can it be redesigned into a modern cultural, educational, and economic hub? Because one thing is clear: a country that forgets its first capital risks forgetting the roots that shaped its identity. Cape Coast may no longer be Ghana's capital, but it is still the keeper of Ghana's deepest stories. Its fall isn't just history, it's a reminder. A reminder to protect what matters, to invest in legacy, and to never let a city that built the nation fade into silence.